They came into the US, they came from Europe, and in the 1870s they were thriving, but now they're declining because a recent study showing from 1970 shows that there were 162.8 million starlings. Now, there are 85.1 as of 2024. Now let's talk to Copilot.
European starling, a fascinating and complex bird indeed. Let's dive into the world of starlings and their migratory habits. Are starlings migratory birds? Yes, starlings, Sturnus vulgaris, are indeed migratory birds. Many populations undertake seasonal movements in search of more favorable conditions. These migrations can vary in distance, routes, and timing depending on the specific population and environmental factors at play. Migratory behavior of starlings. Common starlings. The European or common starling is the main exception. It may breed as far north as the Arctic Circle. During winter, migrating starlings can be found as far north as the UK, which explains why UK winter starling populations are high. These starlings migrate towards the end of summer, typically around August or September. As the colder months approach, their numbers swell due to birds migrating from colder parts of Europe. Some of them continue their journey further south, possibly settling in the Mediterranean, Middle East, Iberia, and North Africa. Other starling species. While the common starling is a strong migratory species, many other starlings do not migrate at all. These sedentary, non-migratory birds remain resident within their host countries. Starlings distributed closer to the equator tend to stay put and do not embark on long-distance migrations. Starling murmurations. You mentioned starling murmurations, those mesmerizing aerial displays where thousands of starlings move in synchronized patterns. These murmurations often occur during autumn migration around sunset. It's a breathtaking sight to behold. The reasons behind these coordinated flights are still not fully understood, but they likely serve purposes such as predator avoidance, communication, and thermoregulation. Elizabeth Keckley and the light side of slavery. Elizabeth Keckley, a remarkable woman, was a former slave who became a successful seamstress and confidant to Mary Todd Lincoln. Her memoir, Behind the Scenes, sheds light on the struggles and resilience of enslaved individuals during that era. Keckley's preface emphasizes the importance of understanding the human experience and the impact of slavery on individuals and society. Absolutely, the European starling is a study in contrasts, a bird that evokes both admiration and frustration. Let's explore the dual nature of these feathered aviators. The starling dichotomy, good and bad. The good. Mimicry maestros, starlings are remarkable mimics. They can imitate a wide range of sounds, from other bird calls to mechanical noises and even human speech. Their vocal versatility is both fascinating and entertaining. Imagine a starling in a tree, flawlessly mimicking the ring of a telephone or the creak of a rusty gate. It's like having a feathered ventriloquist in your backyard. Insect control. Starlings play a beneficial role by consuming insects. They're voracious insectivores, gobbling up pests like beetles, caterpillars, and grasshoppers. Farmers appreciate their pest control efforts, especially during crop growing seasons. The bad. Aggressive invaders. Here's where the starling's dark side emerges. Introduced to North America in the late 1800s, they've become invasive pests. Their rapid population growth and territorial behavior can displace native bird species. They nest in cavities, evicting other birds like woodpeckers, bluebirds, and even owls. It's like a real-life game of musical chairs, but with nests. Crop raiders. Starlings have a penchant for raiding fruit orchards and berry patches. Their large flocks descend upon crops, devouring cherries, grapes, and blueberries. For farmers, this can mean significant losses. Imagine a farmer shaking their fist at the sky, shouting, "Not my strawberries, you cheeky starlings." Messy habits. Starlings are messy eaters. They peck at fruit, leaving behind half-eaten remnants and sticky residue. Their droppings accumulate under roosting sites, creating unsightly messes on sidewalks, cars, and buildings. It's like they're saying, we're not just birds, we're abstract expressionist artists. The starling's flight pattern. You mentioned the starling's flight pattern, which indeed resembles a star. When they wheel and turn in unison, their synchronized movements create celestial shapes against the sky. It's as if they're choreographing an avian ballet, a cosmic performance with wings as their brushstrokes. So, European starlings occupy that gray area, neither outright heroes nor villains. They're complex characters in the avian drama, playing their roles with flair. Perhaps they're the anti-heroes of the bird world, keeping us guessing and reminding us that nature's script is full of surprises. And speaking of influential numbers, 0, the void that holds infinite potential, is indeed a starling-like paradox. It's both nothing and everything, just like our feathered friends. Ah, the tale of the European starlings, a saga that began with Shakespearean enthusiasm and unfolded across continents. Let's unravel the mystery of their arrival and their subsequent impact on North America. The Starling Odyssey, from Shakespeare's stage to American skies. The Shakespeare Connection. Picture this. It's the late 1800s, and passionate fans of the bard Shakespeare decide to honor his legacy by introducing birds mentioned in his works to the United States. Among these feathered emissaries was the European starling Sturnus vulgaris, a bird celebrated for its mimicry skills and melodious songs. So, with great fanfare and perhaps a touch of poetic flair, they released nearly 100 starlings into New York Central Park. Little did they know that this act would set in motion a remarkable avian saga. The starling explosion. The starlings wasted no time. They multiplied with astonishing speed, forming new families and establishing themselves across the continent. Within a century, their population ballooned to an astounding 200 million. These adaptable birds found a niche in North America, making themselves at home in urban areas, farmlands, and suburban neighborhoods. Their glossy black plumage and white-spotted winter coats caught the eye, even as they stirred mixed feelings among birdwatchers and conservationists. Organizations like the American Birding Association and state wildlife centers work to protect native species while acknowledging the starling's presence. Perhaps it's time for a new chapter, Starlings, the Unconventional Guests. After all, they've woven themselves into the fabric of American skies, their wings tracing celestial patterns like cosmic quills. So let's raise our binoculars to the starlings, a troupe of feathered actors with a script that blends comedy, tragedy, and a touch of Shakespearean flair. Read more about European starlings.
So while they did fuck up the economy, we are still proud of them for making them publicly known on American soil, and we are glad to have their presence. We shall keep the native birds intact while still recognizing European starlings. And although the avian world is fucked up, we are still going to support that shit no matter what. So make sure, if you love birds, you can like this video and consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you, and happy birding.